there's a lot coming out from Nick Saban speaking
today
to the government.
Whoa.
He was called in to speak to a committee, I believe probably about, hey, what's the future of NIL? I did not know this was happening, so I'm just kind of seeing the clips as we go. I'm seeing the quotes alongside the actual videos, and the quotes are basically him saying everything that everybody kind of thought he was thinking, and he's kind of laying out how reckless almost the NIL is right now. We could play the video, I assume. I don't know if government won't. Right? No. This is all public?
Public, yeah.
The C-SPAN?
So let's play this. Here's Nick Saban talking to a committee that doesn't have all their chairs filled in the second row.
Just retired from a amazingly and historically significant coaching career. How much did the current chaos and state of the law contribute to your decision to retire now?
I can't take it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, all the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast, and she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this? So, to me, that was sort of a red alert that we really are creating a circumstance here that is not beneficial to the development of young people, which is why I always did what I did. My dad did it. I did it. And that's the reason that I always like college athletics more than the NFL, is because you had the opportunity to develop young people. So, and I want their quality of life to be good. I think, as I said before, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for them to create a brand for themselves. I'm not against that at all. But to come up with some kind of a system that still can help the development of young people, I think, is paramount to the future of college athletics.
Okay, so we were hoping that Coach Saban would take some ownership on this college football world and landscape in the future. Here he is already trying to lay out a little bit of litigation or at least some guardrails in this entire thing. And whoever was chewing into the microphone needs to be eliminated from politics for the rest of their fucking lives.
For real.
I was about to explode in the middle of that. But, I think the natural reaction, because college football fandom is so, fiery, the natural reaction is to be like, hey, Saban doesn't like that everybody else is going to be able to do it. He's been doing this entire time. At the end, he said he's cool with these people who are benefiting the quality of their life and making money. And I don't think there's anybody doubting that the SEC used to operate in a fashion the same way Ohio State used to operate in a fashion. We know. Number 5 overall pick.
Yeah.
We would assume from Ohio.
Autograph tours.
Anyways, but the history of college has been littered with those types of situations. There's always been rumors and hearsays and old stories that have come out to be very true, that down in some schools, more specifically the SEC, they'd been paying players for a long time for recruiting, pay for play, whatever it is. Maybe it's not as big as it is now, but this has always been taking place. But I think like Nick Saban, after we got a chance to chat with him all year, and who knows if he was just playing us every single week for a 20-week season. I mean, who knows if he was. But it felt like he was a teacher. Like that is, at his core, he was a teacher. That is how he found fulfillment. That was actually what he was. So although maybe they had been doing pay for play, and I'm not saying they are, we know, or anything like that. I'm just saying even though they do, I do think he genuinely worries like, hey, we're not helping humans here. A big part of football and being on college football, I needed it. I needed to go to that to learn how to be a better human, to learn how to be more disciplined, more accountable to my teammates, to maybe set myself up for the future, to learn how to do life, seemingly, with people and everything like that. That's a big developmental time for a lot of humans, in your brains and how you operate and how you view life and how you'll continue to go forward, and what work ethic will you develop and what traits will you carry into adulthood, which inevitably lead you into being in society and how you end up doing. I think Saban cares about that shit. And I think there's a lot of college football coaches that care about that shit. Now, do they operate as dictators? And are they the gatekeepers for success for everybody? Yes. But I think a lot of them really get fucking zeked up whenever they see somebody come in with no hope. If this motherfucker was not at our school playing football, we're talking no chance. Like that is it. And then develop over 4 years, or now I guess 8 years, some of these, develop into a person who's just like got a degree or learned how to maybe operate in different situations, how to set aside some bad traits that maybe they've learned throughout their childhood. It's like, that's a massive piece of college football that I think Saban's like, we need to figure out how to keep that in here. Quality of the game is going to go down. Quality of humans is going to go down. Quality of experience is going to go down. Quality of sport is going to go down. But we need to keep the money going to players as well. And I am a firm believer in that. Obviously, Coach Saban's a believer in that. And he said at the end, y'all motherfuckers need to figure this out, how they can benefit and we're still not ruining pretty much a portion and a part of what college football is great at, which is creating humans that are adults, from boys to men. Now, I'm not saying you're fully mature whenever you leave college, but like the person I was whenever I showed up at Rich Rodriguez's football team versus the person I was when I left, like vastly needed, certainly wasn't a finished product, still a douchebag in a lot of facets of life, but like without that, who the fuck? You know, like who even knows? So I think I heard an impassioned man right there trying to save a sport that he loves, although he'll get cooked. I appreciate the fact that they're at least trying to do something in this entire
I mean, he'll definitely get cooked. And, you know, most of these big-time college coaches, they're, you know, the highest paid employee probably in that state. And it's because of what they're doing for their program and their school and all the money that they're generating. And like you said, the money also does need to go to the players. At some point, the billion-dollar question is, how do you put guardrails on it so that both of those things can happen? And just like you, I needed that going into a college campus. I went from South Florida up to Connecticut, so that in itself is a culture shock. Learning how to deal with different people, with the locker room. I met my best friend there, and like you said, you come in as an 18-year-old, leave as a 21, 22, 23-year-old sometimes, and you learn so much about life. And, you know, it's important for these coaches and these institutions to, even if you do transfer, because people transfer in our day as well for different reasons. And now, I feel like most of the time it's about money. But even if you do go, it's guardrails. It's you know, it's people, lawyers and things looking over these contracts. It's family, because also when people, young men, sometimes you leave your home, right, at a certain time in a lot of these families, you're hitting that stage where you are expected to become a provider. So once you leave at 18,
well, you're making the money.
Yeah, so you leaving at 18. Now you're leaving home. You may have some guilt of, hey, I'm leaving my mom, I'm leaving my dad, I'm leaving my younger brothers, nephews, whatever it is, at home to chase my dream, which rightfully so, you should have that right to do. But then you also have that, you should have the ability, if you're busting your ass and pretty much being a professional. We're around the college game. You're right in the middle of the college game. You see how much money it generates. They should, you know, earn their fair share. So the billion-dollar question is, how do you figure that out and make it fair for everyone?
We have not figured that out.
Yeah, it's tough.
We have not
what
figured
is
that
the
out.
answer for
I
that?
have no idea how you do that, because it's like a maturity thing too. Like when you're 18, are you ready? And you talk about child stars, and normally child stars are like what, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. But still, teenagers, like whenever you're bestowed a shit ton while you're developing, that's going to shape and alter. And it's not always bad. I'm not saying there's a lot.
Most of the times it is.
But yeah, but these kids these days seem to be more mature than we've ever been, because they're kind of in the middle of it. Content, I think, advertising, social media. Like there's a lot more of that shit going on. But it's like, it's a tough thing to handle, especially whenever you're coming from. And I talked about this because, you know, you get to see it. Like not everybody's parents are out of a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like not everybody's mom and dad is necessarily for them. You know, not everybody's mom and dad is like super supportive and knows how to be a great mom and dad. I don't have to go through the history of talk shows that have existed because of bad parenting, but it has been happening a long, long time. So whenever you hear about somebody potentially being on the outs with their parents, they're like, what did that? Oh, the asshole changed. It's like, well, maybe the parents not great. Now those parents, and I'm not saying all parents, majority of parents are fucking great. I'm just saying not great parents and not great people around humans exist in reality, in real life. Now, they have no idea what a deal looks like. They have no idea what a good, you know what I mean? And now you got people signing deals that aren't great. So it's not just like we think schools and funds should have guardrails to protect them. It's like there needs to be guardrails to protect these athletes who I would assume are saying, oh, this guy's looking out for me. He knows, he went to school. He knows how to do this. You know how many bad negotiators and deals and financial shit has been done since the beginning of time.
Happens to pros.
They're preying on 18-year-olds. Like, there needs to be some, like, hey, this is what a deal looks like. This is what a deal has to look like. It can't be 25% of future earnings for the next 30 years of your life because you're getting $100,000 right now, which is 4x the amount of money your family makes in 1 year. And you're like preying on people. It's like, I don't know how the fuck they figure that out, though. I genuinely don't have a clue how you fix. So I feel terrible just being like, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, because I don't have the solution. I genuinely don't know how you fix it, AJ. Genuinely have no idea.
Nobody does. I think that's why they're doing all of this and they're having all these meetings. But I love that when Saban does all this, he talks about, this is just how it is now. But he says, I'm not saying it's wrong, but this is just the way it is right now. Like he always goes back to the players should be getting paid, they should get money. But we got to figure out some of this other stuff on how they're going to do it and how they're going to jump from school to school.
I'm excited to see who figures it out.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to thread the needle.
Well, I mean, what you just said, too, though, it's like, sure, the kids want to know, but if Miss Terry's the one after meeting with all the parents, like, how much is it with the parents? Like, all right, hey, we need to get paid a lot of money right here. My son is very, very good at football, and if you don't give us $2 million, we're probably not going. Like, is it just as much parents as it is kids?
Well, let's just say, because Tim and Sally, I mean, Tim works here. Sally, I love Tim and Sally. Mm-hmm. Tim and Sally and I are very, very I love them.
Great parents.
Great parents.
Yeah.
Okay, I think people would say, great job. Some people would say, now, obviously there was years where a lot of people were wondering, hey, Tim and Sally, let's tighten up on this fucking kid. You know what I mean? Let's figure this out. But if they were presented, like if we were presented when I was an 18-year-old going to West Virginia, Tim McAfee, Sally McAfee, have not made a lot of money. Hey, here's $100,000 for you guys, and all we're taking is 25% of all future earnings that Pat makes or whatever. And also we're paying off your house for you or whatever. Yeah. It's like, good eye by whoever decided to pitch that deal. That's good on you. But also we would be like, I think we'd all come to an agreement.
Yeah, let's do it. Where's the pen?
We're taking $100,000 right? And that's like, I just agreed to then 25% of future earnings, which who knows what it's going to be. Now, granted, that's business, baby, I guess, is what the person who's pitching that deal. But it's like, should that be a temptation that's offered in front of people? Like, I don't think that's good for players. I don't think that's good for the athlete. Like, that should be monitored as well, which is why we continue to say, I have no idea how you figure that all out.
Well, nobody's like crying or feeling sorry for some of these like blue chip big programs, but like this is going to start to become an issue. Like it being as good and as powerful as they are could almost be a detriment because you have all these 5-star recruits coming in and that's the only thing they're worried about.
It's team build, right?
How much money am I going to make? And then you have all the infighting and stuff like that. Like, so when we first talked about NIL, it was like teams like Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State, like they're going to have such a leg up, and they do because they can fundraise so much money. But on the flip side of it, like all these kids coming in, like you're not bringing in scrubs, like you're bringing in kids who are pocket watching and seeing what all these other kids are potentially making. Like it just
the reality, like whenever you think in theory, it's great. In theory,
yes,
this was all great.
Yeah.
But then when you talk about this isn't NCAA 2K.
No.
These are humans.
And 17 and 18-year-old kids.
Yeah, it's why. Hopefully they'll figure it out. Shout out to Saban, go and try to march on.
That was awesome.
Marching in Capitol Hill. Say, hey, listen, we need to.
Feel bad.
Figure it out.
He also said he is very worried about the rich getting richer because the people, the schools and teams with money are going to just keep getting the players, and the teams with no money are just going to keep not getting players. And it's just going to be the same schools over and over winning. And
so I didn't hear this from Coach Saban. I heard this from people around the Alabama thing. Whenever we've done game day there a few times, on our show there a few times. So I guess players would take a cheaper deal because Saban.
Sure.
So, like, I just assumed, like, Alabama's got all the money in the world. I'm like, you guys got massive boosters. They're like, we have, yes. But we've been able to work.
It's never enough, though. They know that.
Yeah, but we've been able to work deals pretty much because you're coming to the NFL factory.
Yeah.
You know?
Do they have that anymore?
So I wonder, because that's the first time that I've thought about that since then, because he said like the rich get richer. I would assume that's because like in Alabama's eyes, they don't think they're like, we have good boosters, but like we are not keeping up with others that I think they are probably thinking that they're competing with. And then I think that's because they've always gotten deals pretty much because you're coming in to play for Saban.
You know, everybody in the NFL respects Saban.
Yes.
You know, if Saban can get anybody, any GM, any probably owner, coach, so coming in as a blue chip, like, the money's important as it should be. And of course, it's going to be in the ballpark, but you're going to have Saban there, who, every class he had, won at least one natty there, number one, and then he's going to be on everybody's line when it comes to the pros and be respected, but it's tough, man.
So I just enjoy hearing coaches bitch about how much money somebody else has. I think that's just now college football, right?
Yep.
Because what was it? Was it Ryan Day? Right, that was the first time we heard it.
Yeah,
went to the boosters in the meeting and was like, "I'm gonna need like $13 million for the team you guys want. This is what I'm gonna need." And then head coach of Coach Rule,
Matt Rule,
Coach Rule, as he's answering questions, a good quarterback costs you about $2 million right now. And then he looks, that's what's happening right now. So every coach is trying to find the deepest pockets. Does that mean like some school that we don't know that has a shit ton of money becomes?
Or one donor. You have one big donor that's like, hey, let's get in the mix and just dumps 10, 15 million into your program.